my beautiful co-creators. Lilu here on the Juicy Living Tour. Today I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, actually on my very last day before hitting the big New York City. And I'm with Connie today. Hello.
Hi, lovely to be here with you.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing me to this beautiful power spot that is yours. We have Cambridge in the background, is that right? Where Harvard University is based most.
That's right. That's right. Although directly behind us is Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is there too.
MIT, yeah.
Yes, MIT, yeah.
Brilliant. And we're here in a very special place where you had a lot of your creative thoughts and wisdom come in. Yes. It's quite magical. The reason why I'm sitting here is really because I was in Houston. I met two wonderful people there at the Green Expo, and immediately your book kind of jumped out. And I was like, this is interesting. What is actually the most important question? And that's the title of your book, and I just loved it. There was something there, and Ted connected us, and here I was coming to Boston shortly after that, and it made perfect sense that we meet. And I love those magical moments that are in life.
Yes, the synchronicities that are so perfect. Yes.
So tell us, really, all this, your journey, or at least this book seems to have started from your not your passion, but your interest in Einstein's work. Is that right? Or that sparked it in '94? Tell us.
I hadn't been particularly attracted to Einstein as a scientist when I was younger, but I had become interested in him when I started coming across his more spiritual quotes. And one that sticks in my mind, probably the first one that led me to pay more attention to him, was he said, the more I study physics, the more I'm drawn to metaphysics. And so I started paying attention to him after that. And then in 1994, I was reading a book, and there was a quote of Einstein's in it, and it was about the most important question. And I resonated so strongly, and that day I was just given the idea that this could be the basis of a children's book, and sat down at the computer, and it virtually wrote itself. And I have been approaching what I deem to be typical, appropriate editors ever since, but there were no positive responses for that. And yet, a year ago or so, I met the man that you met, Ted Poppy, in Houston, and I was approaching him for another book, but I took a copy, a mock-up of this book, and I think in January of this year, after we had done another book together, he said, I want to bring the most important question through right away. And so the synchronicity, the timing, I think there's no accident about the timing that it took. I always felt the book was meant to be published, but you know, that was 17 years ago. And so it's just an interesting thing about patience and persistence and timing. Of course, the universe's timing. Is the right things happen at the right time, and I think this. I think all the things that are happening of this sort now are probably related to the transformation that we're going through. You know, and now we're really approaching 2012. I mean, the next new year is into 2012, and so I feel that that's all part of why my work has coming forward now, and
so the most important question is really how friendly this universe is, or is it really a friendly universe, isn't it? And that is such a crucial question. That is really one question that I really faced as I was on the Juicy Living Tour, and I had to really see that for myself. Is it a friendly or unfriendly universe that I'm living in? Because otherwise it's a constant battle, isn't it?
It is, and I think with all the energy that we then use in fear, and it's wasted. And we don't have our energy to put into positive, loving things. I mean, all the energy gets trapped in fear, and there's only fear or love, really, you know. But when the energy is not spent in more loving ways, then it just gets lost, and and the world suffers from it. We all suffer from that loss. I think, well, I feel very drawn to the subject of trying to help people dissipate their fear. I was living here when September 11th, 2001 happened, you know, and the fear was palpable then, and it just grew and grew. What with the political line of politics and leaders in the United States at that time, it's probably perfect how it felt out, but I felt that maybe other people might have not built up the fear so much, but nevertheless the fear got built up. And I remember a year or two after that, I've lived in other countries and traveled a lot out of this country, and I find the energy in the United States sometimes difficult to deal with in terms of fear, and it became palpable. I just wished I could be somewhere else, but I was taking care of my parents who weren't well, and so I remember saying a prayer to Spirit, saying, I hope I can in some way be made use of to serve in reducing people's fear. And I think the most important question deals with that, because I think is the universe a friendly place or not is profound and has profound implications on our own lives and of course all of humanity. In fact, Einstein said, after he was asked what he considered the most important question, and he said, is the universe a friendly place or not, as his answer, he then went on to say, and that he believed that people's own answer would create not only their own destiny, but also the universe's. So it is that big in a way, and yet certainly the approach that I've taken with that, the book is childlike and gentle, and is approaching the question gently, so not to build any more guilt or fear into people, but so that they might be led to think about their answer to that profound question, and realize that how we think creates how we feel, and things like the fact that thoughts have energy, and just how we go along thinking every day impacts the universe. You know, if we're thinking loving thoughts or about the cooperation and the connectedness in life and whatever, that's fine. If we're constantly thinking that we're going to be attacked, or everything's violence or fearful, that sends out that fear energy that just doesn't serve any of us.
More than ever, it is really important to see the universe as a friendly place, even though if there is natural catastrophe going on, the markets are collapsing. More than ever, we have to believe and see that something greater is at play, and we are at play. We have a choice in the matter. Absolutely. That's why this question is so important to bring up.
We not only have a choice in the matter, we have a responsibility to be more aware of how we consciously live our lives. And I think that discussions of that question, is the universe a friendly place or not, will lead to that. Yes. And
I love how the book is so colorful, and there's so many colors and kind of childlike, and you really allowed yourself, or whoever the artist was, to just express that colorful vibrance of life.
I was the artist, and that's a joy, because I hadn't had a paintbrush in my hands since kindergarten, and no training in art, and so couldn't do representational things. That was one of the joyful synchronicities of coming into to partnership with Ted Poppy that I got to plan all the book and all the details, and the size and the shape and its childlikeness and its simplicity and the colors. Those are the chakra colors. They're of course in the same sequence as we think of in the rainbow, but chakras are the energy centers in our body, and so those illustrations, and they sort of scroll from page to page in the same sequence, but starting with different colors, and they just make a flowing energy that really is healing energy, and I think that's part of releasing fear. I mean, we can do certain amounts of work with our minds, and I think it's important for us to think about these issues, but some of it is maybe just healing from being in nature in this beautiful place.
Receiving.
I've certainly, yes, healed and received here, and yes, receiving the energy from the colors, which are very specific,
So do you feel sometimes you channel, or that's probably receiving information that does that come to you?
It does, and it's
just all of a sudden like.
Well, I didn't think of the most important question being channeled when I took it, although I realized that it just seemed to write itself as I sat in front of the computer those 17 years ago, and the whimsical details, which I adore in them. I was aware even then that was a different kind of energy that I normally have. I think my energy is lighter now than it was 17 years ago, but the whimsy felt very different from. I have a good sense of humor, but the whimsy was different even then, and I think I was bringing in spiritual energy that was meant to increase our lightness of being, and it's so joyful. It's such fun and so healing. I mean, it feels like fun, but it's so valuable. And
so do you think that's the core of the message from Einstein, or what is your understanding of what he really wants to bring to the world? I guess this got you closer to him, so maybe you have a new light on it?
It did, and I believe that he was very much involved in the material I was receiving for the book, and I think yes. I began thinking of something interesting a couple of days ago, working on with the book. I believe that Einstein. I don't know much about his personal life, and I didn't search out too much of it because I'd rather be an emptier vessel when I'm receiving message. But I do know that he was unhappy with the way that his scientific discoveries led to the use of the atomic power and the atomic bomb. He was very disturbed about that, and afterwards said, if I had known the direction it was taking, I don't think I'd have done what I did. And the idea floated into my being that he is working with this book and this idea of creating more loving world, more positive world, is in some way his soul wanting to make sure that he's getting positive energy out, and so that's very sweet.
Yes. Thank you for bringing him alive.
Well, thank you. I do feel he's very real, and yeah, it is wonderful, and I do bring through energies. I have another book, Wisdom from Beyond, where I have brought in, and this I was sitting not far from where we're sitting right here, and 3 years ago I was sitting here reading something spiritual, probably reflecting on it as I have for many years, and all of a sudden the idea for this book popped into my head, and 35 different entities, all well known, now all known to be back in spirit also, came to me. The idea didn't include who would come to me, but I knew that some well-known, highly visible personalities were going to come with messages to help people live with less fear and just help with them to have a better experience of life. And so that has dealt very much with reducing fear, because of course for many people the fear of death is their largest fear, and these are people that everyone knows to be back in spirit. You know, you could say dead, but because they're speaking and sending messages to people with very helpful information as to how they don't have to feel guilty or fearful about this or that, or very profound messages, and such a variety of people that you know, from Babe Ruth to Mother Teresa, and from John Lennon to Julia Child, the gourmet cook, you know, just such a variety, so that they mean to reach everyone, and they're short messages, and the idea I got for the book was certainly that it be very accessible. I mean, clearly written, short messages that would help people, and not only those who are used to that kind of literature, you know, have been led to it before, but that would be so intrigued by. I know they came together in some wonderful way as a committee in the spirit realm, deciding on this intention and deciding who would help with it, and to be such a variety that they would create energy that would help people be guided to open this book.
How do you feel now, like 17 years later, after seeing that the most important question, after writing it? Now it's published, it's out in the world, we're doing this interview. Is that kind of a come out, like you really, it must feel so good to be just speaking about it freely, or have you always feel quite free in your own environment and how you were walking in life? Because I know your background is as a writer and travel writer, so there's a turning point here, and also there's a few turning points within living this life fully out in the open of being spiritual.
Well, you're very right, and it's true. It does feel absolutely wonderful. I feel with the publication last fall of Wisdom from Beyond, that was really coming out. I mean, saying I'm a channel, and I, in the beginning of the book, I talk about my my process of taking messages. I sought to bring the greatest integrity to it, because I know it's a complicated issue, and a lot of people will be doubtful, and I went through my own doubts, which I mention in that. But that was it was so wonderful to be working on what I feel is my soul's work of helping people reduce their fear and be able to participate more fully in this wonderful life that we have the opportunity to have, even though while we're in a physical incarnation, you know, we are learning and whatever, but we don't have to learn with the difficulty that so many of us think we do. I mean, if we can literally even bring down heaven on earth, but certainly even short of that, it needn't be the heavy, frightening aspect life is if we take some wisdom from some sources that are different from maybe some of the dogmas in some religions or whatever, that just are harsh, you know, that are challenging for people to take on. And so if they can just move into a feeling of true unconditional love, that it is a universe that just is doing everything they can, short of making any decisions for us, because it is our path to grow and make our choices. But they whoever, you know, in the spirit world, it is the intention that we will have a positive experience and love our learning and growing. And
very juicy, inspiring. Thank you, Connie. Thank you for writing these books. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for having the courage to speak your truth and being in your essence.
Well, thank you very much. It's a joy to be here, and yes, thank you, Lilo. It's been just wonderful.
Thank you, and much love from Boston. See you in New York next time, New York City. Wow. Bye.